And I see Tim, K3LR, just signed in. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
Great. I think we're close enough maybe to get you kicked off. Just had a talk by Fred, K2TR, on wire antennas. Just wrapped up that. And so basically, if I may, just share my screen for a moment. All right. This morning we're pleased to have Tim, K3LR, here. Hang on one second. So did a little digging on his background. Pretty familiar face to a lot of you, I'm sure. So Tim Duffy, K3LR, has been a ham since '72. First license as well, that would have been WN3 SCX, right? Or
Yes.
WN2. Yeah, okay. Tim's a CQ Contest Hall of Fame alumni. 2006, he was inducted. And more recently, I just discovered this yesterday, Tim. You were inducted into the CQ Amateur Radio Hall of Fame last year. Congratulations. You describe yourself as the CEO of DX Engineering, and you're chair and founding director of the WWROF, for which we invited you here. Tim maintains a modest station in Western PA, and he can sometimes be heard in contests if you listen real carefully. And obviously, that's a joke. Quite an impressive antenna array when you drive by it on what is that, Interstate 80? And when you go into the ham bench, you sometimes go by a station. Tim will update the club on the WWRF. I don't know if you have slides to share, Tim, or you just want to talk.
No, I do have slides.
Okay. I'll stop my share here. Okay, there we go.
I was at K3LR last weekend. It's even more amazing when you sit behind the wheel of that station than when you just look at it flying by on the freeway.
It's good to hear Randy on this morning, K5ZD, and thank you, Ken, for the introduction.
Okay.
And we're going to talk. And do you see my slides okay, Ken?
Yes, see him. We do see him.
Okay, great. We're going to talk about the Worldwide Radio Operators Foundation, and thank you so much for the kind invitation to speak this morning. So the things that I want to discuss here is who is the WWROF? There always seems to be somebody who has never heard of it before. Even though we try to be out there, I think that is an opportunity for us to do better as we go forward in getting the word out on who is WWROF and what we do. And then I want to go into kind of a little bit of a deeper dive in the contest administration work that WWROF does, some of our recent activities surrounding funding, and then I want to talk about ways that you can become involved with WWROF through donations and even in your legacy estate planning. So WWROF was founded in 2009. It was founded out of a need in the contest community to protect our sport, our radio sport of amateur radio contesting. And we saw a need to make sure that going forward, that nothing bad could ever happen to contesting, and that it would be taken care of, and that it would be taken care of by individuals around the world that had a keen interest and to leverage their experience in contesting to help the overall good of the sport. And so that is what WWROF was founded on. All of the founding directors are still part of WWROF today. Many of them are people you know, people that are part of the YCCC. And luminaries like Doug Grant, and John Doerr and Randy Thompson, all very prominent contesters with long resumes of being active in contesting, not only just being active in contesting, but giving back. That is a really overarching theme of the people that are involved with WWROF. They give back. And the people involved not only are the directors and the officers, but they're also the people that donate, that make the engine go. That's very important, because without money to help make these things happen, it just wouldn't happen. So we're also very fortunate to have somebody like Ralph Bowen, known as Gator N5RZ, a CPA, who has been our treasurer for many years. And we are looking to help Ralph, as he would like to take a little bit lesser of a position going forward. So if you know somebody who has good experience in the area of treasury, we would love to talk to them. We also are fortunate to have attorney Tom Lee as our secretary and legal counsel on board. Mark Beckwith, N5OT, has a long history with nonprofits, and he has given us a lot of information that has benefited WWROF. Bob Cox, who had a long legacy with the CQ Worldwide as the contest director, and John VE3EJ, really involved when it comes to some of the work with the CQ Worldwide. He also brings an international flavor to it, and as does Tina S50A, really helping with some of the things that are going on in Europe, and also our partnership with the Slovenian club that we co-sponsor the Worldwide Digi with, and then making sure that we're covering things that are going on with youth. And Philip, DK6 Sierra Papa, very important part of WWROF, as he has been the link to a lot of the youngsters on the air programs, and he has been an absolute number one when it comes to figuring out how we bridge that gap between youth and the rest of us gray-haired guys. So what does WWROF do? Well, we take care of the CQ family of contests. Everyone knows now that CQ is basically done, but the contest from when Dick Ross and W2VU were running the show at CQ, the contests, the CQ family of contests, has not missed a beat. And I contend actually they are in really, really good hands, and maybe better off, because at the speed at which the adjudication takes place now, and the fact that we don't have to wait for magazine deadlines, and the fact that Randy Thompson single-handedly goes in and turns the crank to make these results happen in record time now, we are able to get CQ Worldwide results out and the other CQ contests extremely fast and posted on the web, faster than ever before. So we are taking very good care of those contests. Remember that all the directors and all the people involved with WWRF do not get paid stipends. We do not get paid anything for being directors or any of the work that we do. But we have responsibilities. And one of those is to organize the contest directors for the CQ contests and also the Worldwide Digi. So we take care of that. We have a contest director chairman, and then he takes care of the contest directors. We also coordinate all the plaque awards, which really, really come out fast, efficient, and cost efficient as well. And what do I mean by efficient? After the contest is over, those awards are, and the results are posted, those awards are going out. Randy has the engine to produce the certificates online, but as far as the physical plaque awards, people like K1AR, K1DG, and others are responsible for getting out those plaque awards very quickly. And WWROF also takes in the money that from sponsors for those plaque awards. Years ago, there were some issues with adjudication of headquarters stations in the IARU radio sport contest. WWROF has taken on that, and that is headed up by Doug Grant, K1DG, to make sure that there is fair adjudication in the headquarter scores for IARU. We also have been very active with many WRTCs over the years. Since 2010, we've been assisting taking donations in the US and helping steer WRTC so that things can happen on an even keel, and that takes one more stress point off of the people that are organizing the various WRTCs. It also allows for donations in the US to the extent possible with a particular person, tax advantages through the 501c3 of WWROF. Thanks again to Randy Thompson, K5ZD. He has put together a website for the Contest Hall of Fame. And so it is a very concise website showing all of the Hall of Fame members. And he has been populating it with a lot of information about those members. And it also gives information on how to nominate somebody for the Contest Hall of Fame. So thanks to Randy for doing all of that. The Hall of Fame presentations are typically done at Dayton. They can be done at other venues, but typically they're done at Dayton at the contest dinner. We also give grants, and we have partnered with many people and many organizations around the world, to and including contest efforts, but also youth on the air camps, generators in Puerto Rico were donated by WWROF during a hurricane down there, and they're still working today. So there, and scholarships, etc. So it's not just contesting, but it's an overall mission to help and benefit amateur radio. So in contest administration, you know, when you step back and think about how many contests are involved in the CQ family of contests, there are 3 modes to the worldwide. There are 3 modes to the WPX. There is the 160-meter contest has 2 modes. And there's also the CQ Worldwide VHF contest, which has got, I think, renewed life under the director of John Galome and 2NC. He is making some changes that I think are for the good. And so that's an exciting contest that has worldwide appeal and participation in July. So we are WWROF is responsible for promotion, adjudication, all of the websites. So the websites that you see, cqww.com, cqwpx.com, etc., those are all under WWROF. We pay for them. We keep them updated. Largely, that's something that Randy, K5ZD, does. We also have all the records there. So all of the legacy of these contests and all the history of these contests is preserved on these websites. The results are posted in a very timely manner, sometimes quicker than any other contest, especially when you consider the CQ Worldwide has upwards of 10,000 logs that come in on each mode for CW and SSB. That's a lot of work. And those results are posted very quickly, and they are posted as accurately as possible. And then the awards, whether it's online certificates or the plaque awards, are all taken care of by WWROF. So some recent activities that we've had, we've already funded $10,000 to the Denver, Colorado camp in 2025. We participated in Ottawa and Halifax, where the Region 2 camp was in 24 and 23. We've also done funding over in Europe for the Yoda camp there with the help of Philip, DK6SP. And we have done academic scholarships through the ARRL Foundation. I mentioned the generators down in Puerto Rico. And this month only, in April 2025, we are matching up to $25,000 worth of personal donations that come into WRTC 2026. We expect that they will hit that number without problem, and that will make WWROF will present a check for the match at the contest dinner in Dayton in May. So what can you do? You can get involved. And one of the ways to get involved is to support WWROF by going to the WWROF info page at www.rof.org. And you can see there how to contribute to WWROF. We take cash, we take credit cards, and we also take shares of appreciated stock. Info at www.rof.org. Our corporate sponsors, DX Engineering, has been contributing money for many years, and also QTH.com hosts our websites. So we want to give a shout out to them. They have been very gracious. KA9FOX and his team has been very, very helpful with all of the things that WWROF participates in. So your donation can also be steered to something that you have a particular interest in. So maybe you're interested in youth projects, and you can say, my donation goes to WWROF funded youth projects. Maybe you'd like to see your money go into contest administration and infrastructure. Maybe it's, the computer power for taking logs. Maybe it's helping with log checking software. We're very grateful that K1EA has helped and has done a tremendous job, along with Randy, K5ZD, in doing all of the back office work to make sure that the logs are checked as detailed as possible. Maybe you'd like to participate in awards, and your donation can be targeted towards awards, or in general promotion of contesting and the WWROF operations. You can go to supporting WWROF on the WWROF.org website. And then, a lot of us are getting to the age where we need to be thinking about what happens after we're gone. And one of the ways to keep things going in your legacy would be to donate as part of your estate planning to WWROF. And again, you can target this to specific areas if you would like, or you can leave it up to the WWROF directors and officers to figure out the best use of your estate legacy gift. And one of the things that I like about this is that I know when my estate is tied to WWROF, and I know that WWROF and its directors will take contesting forward after I'm gone. They will look after the thing that I find most interesting about this hobby, the radio sport contesting, and they will take care of it. And I want to make sure that they have the funds to be able to do that. So this legacy giving ensures that your values for contesting, a very high bar, is set and will continue on long after you're gone. And if you'd like to be a part of that, you can contact me for more details and we can get you hooked up. So again, thanks very much for having me this morning. It is an honor to present to the YCCC. Ken, back to you.
Yes, thank you, Tim. Thank you so much. Good information. So just to recap some of the things you heard off the top of my head, Mike and I, Mike, NG1M and myself, do a lot of post-contest analysis. And I'll tell you what, the data sets that we could get from the CQ sites is just a dream. And in fact, Randy pointed us towards another slice at it that I didn't know existed, which is going to save us just tons of time messing with this data. That's really great community resource. And speaking of grants, I mean, a YCCC member was the recipient of a grant a couple of years ago, KC2G, who runs that propagation site that I use a lot, apparently was awarded a grant to update his server to be able to do that. Thank you so much, guys, for the work you do. Here's a question, though. John K3LR did the CQ WW write-ups, for example, quite detailed, something that you would see in the magazine, in years past. How do we get more eyes on that? One idea I have is if you had some sort of a press release kit where we could take either some or all of those articles attributed to you and John, of course, and be able to include them in our newsletters so just more people get to see the write-ups. Just an idea I'll throw out there. But beyond that,
Ken, when you say getting more people to see the write-up, they're freely, all the write-ups are freely available on the website. You can just put a link in your newsletters.
Yeah, I understand. I don't know if you track the statistics there, who's gone to look at them, but it was just an idea. There was.
Well, everything is copyright WWROF, and I can guarantee you they will not object.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. All right. Any other questions?
I'd like to make a motion that YCCC make a donation to WWROF of, say, $500.
It's $500. Okay, so there's a motion on the table. Is to make a contribution. It is part of why we exist as a club, the types of things, the type of people, the types of organizations we want to support. Can I get a second on Ed's motion?
Second.
Okay, got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Aye.
All right. We'll coordinate with you guys, Tim, to
Aye.
send some money your way. Okay, we probably got to do a little bit better work on understanding this WRTC fundraising thing. So basically, you're saying you'll match personal donations made to the WRTC for the month of April.
That's right. And there is an excellent blog post that Randy put up yesterday on the WWROF website that explains a little bit more detail on that, Ken. Okay. And there also have been posts to CQ Contest, the Reflector, that explain, and we have live links there, so you can go right to the WWROF site. If you're in the U.S. and your contribution is more than $1,000, that would be routed through WWROF. If it's less than $1,000, WRTC 2026 would like you to go directly to their website and contribute directly to them. But those links are all part of the post that I put on CQ Contest.
Okay. Yeah, I see that now. I just hadn't noticed that before. Okay. Check that out. Try to get the membership motivated here to make some contributions. Excellent. Are there any other comments or questions? I know I did receive a couple inquiries from the membership as to how the whole new Hall of Fame would work. And I think what I heard is it's basically seamless. Would it be the same directors that run the WWROF evaluate the applications for CQ Contest Hall of Fame membership?
No, it is not the directors of WWROF that do that. Okay. It always has been the CQ Contest directors, and it will continue to be that. And to your point, Ken, it's seamless. It really has not changed since CQ Magazine was running it. But the plaques, the expense for the plaques are done through WWROF, and they have been for many years. So that was all done that way. But the The actual analysis of the applications is done through the CQ contest directors.
Okay. All right. There is some overlap though, obviously.
Well, there's overlap to the point of the way, taking care of the website, taking care of getting the awards prepared. But as far as how, members are voted in, it's done just the way it always has been done.
Okay, excellent. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, wonderful. Thank you again, Tim, for stopping by. Hope to see you in a couple of weeks out at the Hamvention.
All right. Thanks again to everybody. And great to hear everybody on the air in the past couple of contests. And we'll look forward to seeing folks on the West Coast next week at Visalia. And also, I know K1EP will be there and others. And we'll also see everyone at Hamvention. And of course, don't forget the YCCC pizza there, Ken.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there. All right. Thank you. Thank you again.
73, everybody.
Take care. All right. Excellent. All right. So next on the agenda, just a quick update on the New England QSO Party. So it's on the radar screen for a lot of us here. Let's see. There's Tom. Tom's still here. Tom, you want to take it? Want to pick it up?
I'm here. You hear me okay?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ken. A couple things briefly. I wanted to say hello to K3LR. I think he's still here. Hadn't seen Andy in a long time, so good to see him on here. Maybe he's not here now. Hope he is. Anyhow,
I'm not seeing him.
Tom, just as a note, Andy is going to Dayton this year. So if anybody's going to Dayton, make sure you stop by and say hi to him. He'll be at the Hope Hotel.
Oh, good. Okay, excellent. Other thing I wanted to mention is I wanted to thank Ken for his multiple years of service as YCCC president. We had elections and we have some new faces, but I just wanted to make sure we appropriately thanked Ken for all of his efforts. It's sometimes a very thankless job, and a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes that the rest of us never hear about. But thanks, Ken, very much.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
And last, I'd never heard a WWROF presentation before, so that was interesting to me. I mean, they have gone from something I'll call it in concept, in the past that I thought was very good, to something that is pretty well oiled and pretty well organized these days, as Tim explained. So it's pretty impressive. I did give to WWROF last week that went towards the WRTC 26 event, which they will pass the money on to the British guys that are organizing that event. And that worked seamlessly. It worked very, very well.
Right.
Anyhow, New England QSO Party. As Tim mentioned, CQ has gotten really well organized and turns around the results very quickly for the CQ contests. I can't say the same about the New England QSO Party. It's been a bit slow, as it always has been, and I guess the deadline of the upcoming contest is the one that I absolutely have to make. And a whole bunch of things happened this spring that actually put that deadline a little bit behind. Scores are likely to be posted in the next day or two. We got all the scoring done. Just haven't gotten it onto the website yet. So that's coming in a few days. But just to give you some information, New England QSO Party started in 2002. So we're better than 20 years doing it now. This last year we had about 720 logs come in. slightly down from the year before. Our peak year was the first year of COVID when everybody was at home. But typically, we're in the 700 or so log range, which is on the par with the 7th call area QSO party. I think Florida has more because they have a lot more mobiles, and a couple of others are up in the multi-hundreds. So we've seen a lot of newcomers as a result of the effort that WN4AFP and crowd are doing with the QSO party. Well, I don't know what they call it. The QSO party
challenge, club challenge.
They
right?
do to try to get everybody interested in participating in all of the different QSO parties. So that's been a boost in the last few years for newcomers and so on. The New England QSO Party actually existed more than 40 years ago. There was a brief one set up that preceded my efforts on it and the current New England QSO Party. But this most recent 20 years or so has been a fairly similar format. We've made a few rule changes along the way, and appreciate all of the YCCC action that's helped out. We get a lot of. Last year we had something like 70 YCCC members send in their scores for YCCC. But actually what we've done in many years is said, hey, there's no reason to put it in for YCCC. What we really want to do is have you reach out to your local club and get them to get on the air during the New England QSO Party, because generally speaking, QSO parties are kind of a good entry point into contesting in the big ones. So somebody getting on for the New England contest or some of the other state QSO parties will learn how to use the software, which primarily is N1MM software, but also N3FJP has a pretty popular tool that's actually simpler than N1MM and works very well. So it's a good entree point for new contesters to get involved in the state QSO parties. And so if you work with your local club, no reason not to put your own score in with the local club and see if you can get 4 or 5 club members to join you. This year we had a pretty long list of clubs participating both within New England and outside of New England. Actually had a couple of FRC members that came into New England last year to give out a bunch of counties. So that worked out pretty nicely. We had 14, I think, different mobiles last year. A whole lot of people have been trying mobile activity in the last few years, and I think it's gone pretty well. The nice thing about the first weekend of May for the contest is that it's after the snow has mostly melted in northern New England. It's also before most of the tourists have arrived. The only problem is there are a lot of potholes on some of the back roads that you need to go on to get from county to county in some parts of northern New England. But we have good activity. We usually get all of the counties on the air. We did last year with only a couple of them were pretty marginal, but we did get all of them on the air. So I encourage you to reach out to your local club, get some of the other club members who are getting started in activity on the air and have them try out a QSO party, see what it's like. A lot of people will slow down if you go slow. They'll usually match your CW speed and so on. And I know I see a lot of friendly call signs here that I think almost all of you have participated at one point or another in the contest. YCCC, we mentioned earlier the contest plaques that YCCC sponsors, and I want to thank you as a group for sponsoring 4 different plaques for the New England QSO Party. We give out the top award for the New England top score. Actually, last year, K1ZZ had the top score. We also give out the top score for the USA. K4QS, K4 Queen Sugar, took the top high power score. The top DX score, also sponsored by YCCC, went to DL3DXX, Dietmar, DL3 Delta X-ray X-ray. And that's really interesting because he had a bigger score than anybody, than any of the US scores. And he kind of follows in the shoes of OM2VL, OM2 Victor Lima, who the last couple of years has done, before that, was the top scorer overall. So I guess being 3,000 miles away can help in the New England QSO Party with good enough propagation and good enough ears.
Tom?
And the last one we sponsor is for the top New England club, which typically is YCCC, but we give it to the second place group, and that's usually the Connecticut, Rhode Island contest group, of which many or not, if not all members of that club are also YCCC members. But they had, I think, 8 entries last year and a pretty good score. Mobiles are really the key to making sure that all the counties are active. I used to do mobile activity, but I found out when I bought a hybrid car that hybrid cars and electric cars are pretty damn noisy, and it's very hard to tame the noise. So I have not been out the last few years, but a number of people have done a pretty nice effort over the years to put on different counties. This last year, WWROF used the call sign NZ1U and did, I don't know, about 30 counties from, I think, Connecticut all the way to northern Maine. And K1NZ was also very active in a lot of counties. Who else am I thinking of? A group from New York, Russ Healy, what's his
K2UA.
Oh, K2UA, that's it. Did a bunch of activity in Vermont, especially, and so we've had quite a bit of activity. I think KW1X on here, and Randy did some activity in Rhode Island and Southeast Mass. So you'll hear a lot of familiar call signs, and it's been quite good. I'm trying to think of what else to best tell you. It's been, I think, a good way for getting new YCCC members as we get people from local clubs active on the air. And especially with new hams, the best thing we can do as a group is encourage them to not only get on and talk on local repeaters to the other club members, but actually get on the air on HF where they can, where they have the ability to. You can certainly, and there's certainly some techs that get on 10 meters, and a few of them get on 80 and 40 meters during the NEQP, and some on 15. The problem is they don't have access to digital modes on HF at this point, so that's the hard point. And worse than that is FT8 really is compatible with exchanging county information, and there's a couple of workarounds, and some people do some digital activity, but it's mostly not FT8, which is where the bulk of digital activity is these days. Someday maybe FT8 will have enough tools that you can actually exchange the state and county. Anyhow, I just want to briefly tell you about NEQP and encourage everybody to be on. First weekend of May. It starts at, after Nearfest closes on Saturday afternoon. Nearfest is the Friday and Saturday, And we start Saturday afternoon about, I think it's at 4 o'clock, which is well after most of Nearfest heads home. So if you can get on, please do. And we're active all day Sunday until 00 Zulu Sunday night. So with what I like to call a pleasant intermission, where there's a 9-hour period where you can go to sleep between the two sessions of the contest on Saturday and Sunday. So please get on. Please encourage your local clubs to get on, and let me know if you're going to be active, because one of the other things we do is we put together a list of who's going to be on from what county. That's especially useful for the mobiles, so we know where they're going to be and approximately when and what order. But even if you're just going to be on from home, that's also fine. We get a lot of activity from Middlesex County, Mass, and from southern New Hampshire. Those are the two concentrated areas where we get lots of activity, but it all counts. The hardest counties are usually in northeastern Vermont, and also the Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard are two counties that are very tough in Massachusetts. So we're always looking to make sure there's somebody active there. So that's my 10 minutes of fame. Thanks very much for listening, and be glad to answer any questions people might have. Back to you, Ken.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you as usual. So you haven't, so the scores will be posted in a couple days, and then you usually request everyone to reply whether they're going to be active or not. Has that been made live yet?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a blank page that's online. It doesn't have much on it so far. So as I learn of people that are gonna be on, I add them to the list.
Yeah.
And then we'll send out, within the next couple of weeks, we'll send out certificates from last year and have the plaques sent out. And we have about 40 to 45 plaques that are available, a good number for New England and a good number for out of state as well. And we had a lot of Canadian activity. We get about 25 Canadians and 20 or more foreign logs, in addition to the roughly 200 from New England and 400 from outside the US as well. So a lot of activity, and look forward to hearing and working all of you.
Tom, I have a couple of comments. This is Ed.
Sure.
One, I actually talked to DL2DXX over the summer when I was out in Germany, and also OM2VL. Turns out OM2VL couldn't get on the contest because he uses a club station, and there was another contest that weekend, and he was kicked off. So it's not like he didn't want to participate. He couldn't get a station.
Yeah.
Which made it easier for DL2DXX to win. And the other point I wanted to make was is the ongoing question of trying to change the hours. Saturday night it ends up at 1 o'clock, and there's only 8 hours, actually not 9 hours between 1 o'clock and 9 a.m., which makes it very difficult for mobiles to be out, for the last 2 or 3 hours of the contest, because you have to use like 80 and 40, which is tough from a car. And there's a lot of drunks out on the road, and it just makes it kind of difficult to operate, really late Saturday night. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, good comments. And we made a number of changes last year to try to straighten out some issues we've had. I'm pretty slow at adapting to suggested changes deliberately. I was a little slow in adding in assisted categories, and I generally don't like to add too many categories. But we've had some good input from people on suggestions, and that one on the hours. Actually, last year, I don't think Nearfest was on the same weekend, so we could have gone earlier. But that's been a problem over the years, where A lot of people were interested in doing both events, and we didn't want to overlap, but
Yeah, and it also makes it easier for the 7QP and you know, the Indiana, all the other QSO parties have different hours, and we're the only one really that's operating that late at night.
yeah. Okay, very good. Thanks, Ed.
I have a question. At one time, were we not, did we go to some other kind of QTH other than county in Connecticut? And what is it, where does that stand? Because it was very confusing to do whatever it was.
Yeah, that was a change made last year that was difficult to decide to do and difficult to implement. In Connecticut, counties haven't existed for 40 years. There's lines on maps, but there's no county government. And the state 2 years ago basically said to the federal government, hey, we don't have counties anymore. We have these things called regional councils of government that are planning organizations that cover what might have been handled by a county in terms of dealing with county things that apply to multiple counties or multiple towns. So the state actually changed how they do their reporting to both to the census and to FEMA and whatever, and how funds are allocated to the state. And so we decided to match that. I thought at the time we made the change that the county hunters would adapt it as well for their contest, because one of the requests I had to make that change came from one of them, one of their board members, but they have not followed suit yet. So in Connecticut, it really is not counties, it is regional councils of government. And
Yeah,
that,
but amateur radio contest has nothing to do with political government.
that's true, and we still made the change because that's the way I mean, it's not, Connecticut's not the only state like that. Alaska has something similar. It did create some problems, and I did get some negative feedback. I'll just say it that way. Overall, it didn't present very many problems in the end. And we haven't changed, we're not changing it for this year either. But
All right.
time goes on.
Yep. I noticed we do have a unique call history file for the NEQP, and that hasn't been touched since 2021. So we'll look at trying to get that updated before the event. So obviously all the Connecticut.
I can send a copy of our log information. We've got about 92,000 QSOs made during the contest last year. So I can send it to VE2, I forget his call sign, and he can update it.
Are any other New England states not using county?
No. No, because they all have county governments.
Tom, a couple of years ago, there was talk about how N1MM was going to be organized so that you could make contacts with the other simultaneous QSO parties, the 7-1 in Indiana, I think in Delaware, all run in the same time frame. And you could submit one log to any of those, but that never seemed to work. You have any other update?
Yeah, they have a module that works for all of them if you're not in New England. If you're in New England, you still have to use the one that says New England QSO Party, but I believe you can log stations from the other QSO parties in the New England one also. It just, I mean, when I work a Washington State station during the NEQP, I can log it as WA and whatever the 3-letter county abbreviation is. It does work. And I believe you can send the log to the other the other groups.
I think I ran into a problem just trying to log their three-digit county without the WA or something like that.
Yeah, I think that does work, Dave. Maybe I better put a better explanation of that on the website. But I know I've sent the same log to the various ones, and they sort it out in their log checking. And so it should work.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Yep, no problem.
Could be the subject of maybe a like a Wednesday night meeting, something like that. Somebody figures that out, because I've always just basically, there's been so much conflicting information. I just run the New England module, and I will log those other stations, and whatever happens to that data happens.
But you know what's interesting, just in looking at the logs that come in, we often get logs from the Nebraska QSO Party, NEQP module, because people pick the wrong one to send to it.
Right.
That's been a problem. If people, what the biggest problem in doing the log checking is that people like to send ADIF files, which are fine. I can convert them. The problem is it doesn't have the necessary information about what category you're entering or what club you want the score to go for and stuff like that. So ADIF files, I have to go back to the user in many cases and get some follow-up information. But that's part of learning and part of getting people used to contesting, and that I don't mind that. So anyhow,
Good.
The
right.
comment, Dave, that's a good one. And that looks like about it. So Ken, back to you.
All right, thank you, Tom. All right, at this point, that pretty much wraps all the presentations we had lined up. Any comments or questions from the gallery before we close out here? We had a good turnout. I think I saw 41 was our peak attendance. As we are now in bylaw voting mode, I will entertain a motion to suspend this meeting until we next assemble.
Motion to suspend.
Thank you. Second, anyone? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks everyone for showing up. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be seeing you on the air.